As a general rule, S tier characters are characters that are good for everything, and F tier characters are characters that are bad for everything. It's more of a general rule, and it doesn't always fit in, but just keep that in mind. So if you see a C tier character, then they're pretty average. If you see an A tier character, then they're good for most game modes, but they're not good for every game mode. Unlike S tier characters, which probably are good for every game mode. There are a few exceptions, but that's a general rule. Also, I'm not going to go over all characters because I've covered most of the characters in previous videos I've made tier lists in, though I am going to cover changes I've made to the tier list with characters I've already covered, and I'm going to cover the new characters, the characters that are below 1,600 gems, because I haven't covered them in the past. Without further ado, let's just begin. Accelerator is new, and I'm putting him above Gilgamesh because Accelerator is better than Gilgamesh at everything except as an assist. He's better in time challenge, he's better in dimensions, he's better for damage, and what more can you ask for? I would say Gilgamesh's assist is better than Accelerator's, though Accelerator's abyss is by no means bad. It's basically just a worse assist of Naruto 6 paths. A bit longer duration, but less damage, and this AoE is basically the same. It's a really good assist. Kokushibo is now, in my opinion, worse than Gilgamesh. Not in dimensions, obviously, but Kokushibo he's just not viable anymore. There are like 5 characters that are better than Kokushibo in dimensions now. Shadow Monarch, Accelerator, Eren, the list goes on. Kokushibo is still really good, except in Slime Dimension. The staircases that exist on that map just doesn't fit Kokushibo, because the Kokushibo dash is really far, sure, but it isn't really good if there's a staircase. Nezuko is also getting lowered a bit, because Nezuko just isn't good at Dimensions and Infinite. There's no real reason otherwise. She's really good for basically everything, except those things. Witch Megumin is obviously getting increased. She's the best character for Time Challenge. She's one of the best assists in the new dimension as well. As a main, she's not the best. It could work in like Infinites, but in other game modes it's not that well. But considering how Naruto 6 paths is this high up just because of his assist, Witch Megumin deserves some love with good assist and the good Time Challenge character. Alice and Milim is also getting increased because they're just viable in basically everything. Milim's damage is good, Alice's assist is good, both have dashes that are pretty good. The AoE they got isn't bad by any means. They're just solid characters. They're good for basically every game mode except a few maybe. Like Time Challenge, they might not be the best for Time Challenge. But these characters are still really good and they definitely deserve A tier, even though it's low A tier. Infinity Gojo, he's not a good raid character. It's a disappointment just like Demon Lord Rimuru, so both Infinity Gojo and Demon Lord Rimuru are decreased to B tier because they really don't excel in anything. They're pretty decent, but as a raid character, no they're not. 3,600 tokens could definitely be spent on something better, and yeah, they're like Gojo has a pretty good assist, even with the no cooldown skill on the main. It's not a lot of damage, and Demon Lord Rimuru stands still in the same place for like all of the moves Rimuru got, so it's just not a good combo. Levi, I'm just putting a bit higher up than last time because Levi isn't that bad. Levi could probably compete with like Alice and Milim as well, but his first ability is really bad in my opinion. It isn't really a dash. It's kind of a dash, but not really. It doesn't pack a lot of damage. I wouldn't say he's that good, though I did increase him a bit. The shadow characters are a bit worse than the actual characters, so I just put them basically in the same tier, just worse. Shadow Esdeath isn't that good because Esdeath is mainly good because of her cooldowns. Think of Gilgamesh but worse cooldowns. And then Esteth but worse cooldowns. That's even worse. Because Esteth is mainly good because of her cooldowns. And if the cooldowns are worse, then yeah, she's not that good. Yorichi doesn't rely too much on cooldowns, so he's still a viable character even in a shadow form. And Yorichi's assists are really good. Now, a few more gem characters have been added, and they've been very good. So I'm putting Diablo and Misaka at top of C tier, the best gem characters. Diablo is better than Misaka in Dimension, and it's actually the best character for Dimensions if you have good stats, at least for me. But, and he's really good at raids, but in boss rush and a few things, he's not that good. He's really like bad at those, so it balances out to like average. And the other gem characters in that tier are basically the same thing. They're good at some things, bad at some things. They weigh out the same thing. They're good at this many things, and they're the same amount of things they're bad at. So they're neither good nor bad. And since they're actually very easy to get with 1,600 gems, it's really easy for you to just get one of these. And I would definitely recommend you getting Misaka, even though Diablo is better. You can drop him for free. However, if you're at like level 30, you can buy Diablo, because it's a long way to get him for free. First you gotta be level 106, and then you gotta play a lot of games to get the actual drop, because it's 1%. And if you're only playing normal, you get 1 drop per game, I think. Yeah, so that's 100 games on average, and that's gonna be a lot of games. So you can actually buy Diablo, but I would recommend Misaka. They also changed it so Yu-Gi-Oh is a bit worse now, because Yu-Gi-Oh is just outshadowed by everyone now. Diablo, Saber Alter, Misaka, all of them are just better than Yu-Gi-Oh. You have no reason to buy a Yu-Gi-Oh anymore. He's still a viable character, but there are better choices. And Genos, he kinda took his spot, because Genos actually got decent damage. He's not as good in Dims, but there are better characters in Dimensions anyway, so you wouldn't use Genos in Dimensions anymore. You would use Misaka. Then we also got Archer here at D tier with a few 1.6k characters, as well as Asuna and Zoro, because they're actually really good 800 gem characters. They are by no means bad for their cost. They are better than a few 1.6k characters. Archer is really good. He has damage, he has AoE. His assist is pretty good as well, and Asuna has a really good moveset, and Zoro is by no means bad too. They're really solid characters. There are a ton of 500 gems characters, or similar to it. They're also pretty decent. There are a few 800 and 500 gem characters here, and they're pretty decent for their cost as well, just not at the same level as Asuna and Archer, for an example. I would say Tanjiro is pretty solid character. He's like a worse Zenitsu, and Zenitsu isn't that good. Gray is actually really good, and I remember him thinking, I remember myself thinking that he is the best gem character that isn't 1.6k worth when he came out, and I mean, he's really good. He's like, he packs some damage, he packs AoE, and I wouldn't say he's bad as for his cost, but there are better choices. You could go with Zoro, you could go with Archer, and you can even drop a character like, you could even get Tanjiro for free, I'm pretty sure. So it's not that worth it to buy, because you can just save up for a better character. But if you really need to buy a character, he's not a bad choice. Stuff like Rukia, Sasuke, and Sakura, they're really not good at anything. Sakura is pretty good for damage. Rukia got the big sword. Sasuke got pretty okay moveset, and anyway, it's not too bad, but they just don't pack anything that they're actually good at. And then we have the F tier characters. We have the 5 starters. I would generally say that the 5 starters are the worst characters. Ichigo could arguably, and Deku, they could arguably be better. Goku maybe as well, because he's pretty good for damage if you got good stats. But I would generally say that the starters are the worst characters. Then we also got 5 other characters, mainly 200 and 300 gem characters, also drops that you can get in dimensions on early stages. They're really not good. Killua got a no cooldown skill move, but the damage is so bad and the AoE is also so little. Itadori just doesn't have good damage or AoE. Natsu, Agaza, there's not much to say because they're just not good. I would never buy them, and I would never recommend anyone to buy them, especially since you can drop them as well. Asta is... he's okay for like a 300 gem character. I'm pretty sure it's 300 gems, if I remember correctly. But yeah, you can drop him for free. If you had 300 gems, you can just save up to gray or something, or even better to a 1.68 character. 1.68 gems isn't really hard to get anymore anyway, so you can just buy that very easily. But yeah, that's about it. This is the tier list EV and I made before the Luffy update. And if you don't agree, then sure, it's our tier list. Like, I'm not saying this is the correct tier list. And I won't argue if you disagree, but this is our opinions on a tier list and which ones are the best at basically every game mode and which ones are the worst on basically every game mode. And also, if you did see my last video and read the comments or the description, yes, I am planning on quitting soon, but I'm probably going to make videos on Anime Dimensions until I hit 5,000 subscribers, or it's my birthday, or I find a new game. I still want to upload videos, and the only game I can upload videos on right now is Anime Dimensions, because I haven't started playing a new game yet. So that's why I'm still going to make a few videos, even though I'm not going to play that much. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and see you in the next one.